Good evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Elizabeth Malvisi, Chairman of Babergh District Council, and I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. This meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. The whole of the meeting will be recorded, except where there are confidential or exempt items. If any member of the public attending the meeting objects to being filmed, please advise us immediately, and we will ensure that they are not included in the filming. Members of the public and the press may record, film, photograph or broadcast this meeting when the public and the press are not lawfully excluded. If you are intending to so do, please could you inform the committee clerk. May I please ask that mobile phones are switched to silent or switched off, and that your laptops are also switched to silent. If you hear the fire alarm, please leave the building immediately via a fire exit and make your way to the assembly point at Ipswich Town Football Ground. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. We received apologies from Councillors David Busby, Lee Jameson, Adrian Osborne, Daniel Potter and Mark Newman.
Thank you. Now we usually have declaration of interests by councillors, and I'd like to advise members that the monitoring officer has granted Babergh District councillors dispensation to allow them to speak and to vote on matters concerning devolution and or local government reorganisation at all Babergh District Council meetings, where they may otherwise have a disclosable pecuniary interest or other registrable interest or non-registrable interest. I call for any declarations of interest. Councillor Wyman.
Chair, may I declare a non-pecuniary interest as a non-executive director of CIFCO Holdings Limited?
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Ward? Same. Anyone else? No. Councillor Riley?
Madam Chair, I'm also a director and non-executive director of CIFCO Holdings.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Saw?
I'm also a non-executive director
Okay.
of CIFCO Holdings, Chair.
All right. All duly noted? Thank you very much. I now move to the confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of June 2025, which is paper BC/25/12. Are there any issues with accuracy? Councillor Rees? Now this is accuracy only, not content.
Yes, Madam Chairman, thank you. Page 18, point 31.9, the Director for Property Development and Regeneration confirmed that the costings were additional to those anticipated. That was specifically that Ms. Atack said that it was because they didn't know about them. They didn't know that that additional money had to be spent. I think it's very important that the reason why they weren't higher than anticipated is included, because that's what was said.
Okay, have you got the minutes so I can see? So it's page 18.
Yes, page 18, 31.9. The Director for Property Development and Regeneration confirmed that the costings were additional to those anticipated, because they didn't know that those things were needed, because clearly they hadn't been keeping an eye on things.
Is that a statement of fact?
Okay, we can double check.
We'll revisit it out of this meeting, and is council happy for me to sign? Not, because there's more. Councillor Maybury, then Councillor McCraw.
Thank you very much, Chairman. 31.11 on page 18. Yes, I did ask a question about what the planned use at Chiltern Airfield, which is in my ward, was for. and I was told that confirmed that the use was for the storage of wheelie bins, and it would be outside, because I specifically asked whether it was in units, and no, I was told it was outside, and I would like that minuted, please.
Sorry to interrupt you, Councillor Maybury, but can you give me the actual paragraph reference?
Yes, 31.11, I said that. Page 18.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Carry on.
Right,
You finished?
I
Right, I
have finished, but I
interrupted you.
can explain it again, if you wish.
No.
Okay, right,
Okay,
thank you very much.
And Councillor McCraw?
Yes, Chair. Just to refer to Councillor Rees's earlier point, the inference that Councillor Rees was drawing would not form part of the minutes. It's an assumption made upon her own recognizance. It's
Okay.
not a minute. It is not what was said at the time, and it's not relevant to the minutes. That's all I'm suggesting.
Thank you. Councillor Rees?
Madam Chairman, it was said at the time that they did not know that more money was going to have to be spent. That's why it wasn't budgeted. That's why Councillor Ward said we didn't know, and then he deferred to Ms Atack to give the clarification on why, because I asked why hadn't it been budgeted.
In the point that Councillor Rees was making, she drew the inference that that was a shortcoming on the part of officers, and I don't think that was supported by the evidence at the meeting, and therefore to be minuted.
Well, I believe, thank you very much, Councillor McCraw. We will take the comments by both Councillor Maybury and Councillor Rees, and the monitoring officer will evaluate their comments in the light of the minutes and what was said. Okay? Yes? Right, now then. Moving on. My announcements are for noting, and I now move to the leaders' announcements, and I invite Councillor Ward to...
We need to vote on the minutes.
Oh, we've got to vote on the minutes, sorry. I'm trying to get out too quickly. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for the minutes, please? Proposer, Councillor McLaren. Seconder, Councillor Saw. Okay.
Show of hands. To vote, show of hands.
And the vote will be taken by a show of hands.
Yeah, it's carried. Carried.
Okay, have we got a count?
We don't normally do second minutes, we just carry.
Okay, right. That has been accepted. Thank you very much. And now I go back to inviting Councillor John Ward to update us on several matters.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, on devolution and local government reorganisation, I won't say anything about LGR as we will be debating the motion soon, apart from to say that our survey is still open until the end of this week, but I will give a quick Devo update. In a letter sent by Jim McMahon last week to the leaders of Norfolk and Suffolk County Councils and copied to the district leaders, he confirmed that the statutory tests to establish a combined county authority for Norfolk and Suffolk by secondary legislation are met. So subject to Suffolk County Council's consent, legislation will be brought before Parliament in order to establish the institution early in 2026 so that the election can be held in May. The election will be by first past the post and not by supplementary vote due to the legislative timetable for the English Devolution and Community Empowerment Bill. There was no further detail about funding in the letter, so we still have to wait for that. On to some good news, Tour of Britain. We are absolutely thrilled that Babergh, along with our neighbours in Mid-Suffolk, will host stage 2 of Britain's biggest professional cycle race, the Lloyd's Men's Tour of Britain. The stage of the race, featuring many of the world's top cyclists, takes place on the 3rd of September. While the exact route has not yet been announced, we do know it will pass through many of our communities, including Sudbury and Hadley. As well as being a great sporting spectacle, it will also be a fantastic opportunity for us and our communities to showcase Babergh to an international audience. We hope it will inspire others to enjoy the benefits of cycling, as well as giving a real boost to our local economy. And this is the first time 2 stages of the event will be held in Suffolk, with stage 1 of the race in East Suffolk. So this is a real coup for Babergh, and will keep members informed as the plans progress. Next, I'm sad to report that David Bishop, a former Chief Executive at Babergh District Council, has passed away. David held the post from 1980 until his retirement in 1999 and worked in local government for almost all of his adult life. David served Babergh with a remarkable distinction until his retirement in 1999, and colleagues, some of whom still remember him for his energy, drive and good humour, and for his strong commitment to our communities and working relationships that still endure, helping to make us the confident district we are today. David left a really important legacy, and our very best thoughts and wishes are with his family and friends at this difficult time. I'd like to congratulate Suffolk on celebrating their 75th anniversary. Our parish councils are very fortunate in having such an efficient and effective organisation, providing them with support and representation. And finally, I'd like to make Council aware that Councillor Busby's health has deteriorated. Clive Arty and I visited him at his home the weekend before last and spent a couple of hours with him in his garden. And I'm sure all of our thoughts are with Dave and his family over the coming weeks. Thank you, Chair.
Send our thoughts and prayers to Councillor Busby's family and Councillor Busby himself. Yeah. Thank you. Moving on. We now have petitions. Are there any petitions?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. And now we have questions by the public who are present but do not wish to speak. They have been asked if they wish to table a supplementary question. None has been received, so we'll move on. All right. Councillor D. I've got crosses out and I don't know what I crossed out. Never mind, I'm catching up. Councillor Davis, can you respond to the questions by the two? Right. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. The Council has received a report from the questioners in this case about the field in question, which is by the river in Dedham. We are investigating the report in accordance with our adopted joint local planning enforcement plan. And whilst that investigation is underway, the Council must keep an open mind as to whether or not there really has been a breach of planning control here. Landowners are allowed by national legislation to use land for one temporary purpose for up to 28 days in a calendar year without making a planning application. The 28 days don't have to be consecutive and can be spread over a calendar year. The Council doesn't keep a log of temporary uses by landowners, and that's why we welcome the input of residents in these cases. However, where appropriate, we can issue a planning contravention notice where there's an allegation that the temporary use has gone on for more than 28 days. And in this particular case, we're looking at using such an order to establish the facts of the use of the field in question. But the planning use of this land is not the only issue which the Council is aware of in relation to the popularity of this area. We can see this area is under pressure in a number of ways because of increasing public use. We need to talk to other agencies, including the police, highway authorities, the National Landscape Authority, parish councils and other neighbouring authorities. We are actually seeking to coordinate with these organisations so that the public can continue to enjoy informal recreation by the river without spoiling the natural environment and the village of Dedham for those who live and work there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. That's it. Okay. Questions from? Are there any questions from councillors?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. We now move to Capital Investment Fund Company, CIFCO Capital Limited.
You've got a question without notice.
Councillor Holt.
Madam Chair, just have a point of order, if I may.
Yes?
Item 13 on the agenda, which is the motion. I would like to clarification if this actually is legal. This council voted in March on a paper that tied us to a 2 or 3 unitary option. Now, according to council procedural rules 18.1...
We've not come to that item on the agenda.
I would like to raise that point now, if I may, or I can do it later. But if we can address it now, it may be useful.
Are you trying to rearrange the agenda?
No. I appreciate if Councillor Ward didn't chip in. I'm addressing you, Madam Chair, not the leader.
Can you ask them? Can we hear it in full first and then carry on?
Carry on.
Carry on.
I'm calling to question the legality of hearing item 13, which is the motion, notice of motion. It's just that we as an authority voted in March this year on an option to consider a 2 or 3 unitary authority going forward with LGR, and that is binding for 6 months. The decision made by council cannot be altered or amended within that 6-month period. And my question to you is, it is within 6 months, and we should not be having a motion come forward to change a decision that this council made in March. The earliest date would be in September, so that is my point of order.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Holt, for that. I think we'll take a recess of 5 minutes to pursue the issue. Okay? So, councillors, you can take a break, but we're going to try and sort things out. Members, thank you for your patience. The decision taken in March 2025 was to approve submission of the draft interim plan. This action was carried out when the interim plan was submitted to government on the 21st of March 2025. Therefore, the motion tabled under 13A does not seek to rescind or amend the decision to submit the interim plan. I'm comfortable that this motion is in order and can be proposed and debated. Now, I'm also willing to move the motion up the agenda, but to do that, I need a proposer and a seconder. Councillor Wyman?
Chair, could I propose we move the CIFCO report to the top of the agenda?
No, we're moving the motion.
I'll second that.
Would you like to propose that the motion
Yes.
13A be moved to the top of the agenda?
I would like it to be proposed to move the top of the agenda.
Thank you.
Please, Chair.
Thank you. I need a seconder, please. Councillor Ward?
Chair, if you could just... Members, to clarify, what's been proposed is to move the motion ahead of the CIFCO item on the agenda, just so we're very clear what's being proposed and seconded. We then need to carry out a vote by the way of an electronic vote to determine whether or not we go ahead with that change. Yeah.
Chair, I apologise. Could we bring the motion to the top of the agenda?
Thank you, Councillor Wyman. And a seconder? Councillor Ward. Now, we're doing it by electronic vote?
Thank you. Budget number is 27. Members, that vote is now in progress.
There are two motions to be debated, to be voted on, because one that was originally put on was not withdrawn. Is that right? No?
Do we want the motion to be heard now?
The monitoring officer will clarify your understanding.
Councillors, just to be clear, councillors, what has occurred is that a point of order was raised. There was then an adjournment. There has then been the meeting has then been restarted, and there has been a response to the point of order. That is settled. Subsequent to that, there has been a request, as proposed, to change the order of the agenda for this meeting, and the proposal has been to move the motion at 13.A in your agenda up the agenda so that that is the next item that you will be debating, and then the CIFCO item that was further ahead in the agenda will be moved after the motion. So that would be the effect of the proposal, which has been seconded, would be essentially just to flip the CIFCO item with the motion, which is at 13A. I hope that clarifies.
Councillors, the vote of that is 16 for, 8 against and 3 abstentions.
Councillor Holt, decision, your attention, Chair.
Councillor Holt.
Chair, due to that decision, this group will be leaving this meeting as we do not believe it's democratically transparent. So thank you very much.
Be careful of what we're whispering to each other, because remember, this is being transmitted to the web. Now, councillors, just to remind you, this is a formal meeting and we have agreed to move the motion on Devo local government to the top of the agenda, with apologies to our representatives from CIFCO. Unfortunately, our fellow members, or some fellow members, have decided not to take part in this debate, but I call on Councillor Ward to introduce the motion.
Thank you, Chair. Not quite the way I was expecting this evening to go, however. Firstly, I need to stress that this really is an important subject. It is no less than determining how things will be run in Suffolk for the next 50 years. It needs serious debate and careful thought from this side of the chamber. Careful thought this evening and when we return to it in September. It has been the district's and Ipswich Borough's view for some time now that a multi-unitary solution for Suffolk would best meet the needs of our large county and its diverse communities and economy. When we debated the interim plan here in March, the majority of views were in favour of supporting the strongest possible democratic unitary model. But first, we all wanted to hear the views of our residents and partners, and to understand whether 2 or 3 councils would be financially viable. Financial modelling carried out by KPMG and our Section 151 officers is progressing and has reached the stage where we can be confident that both options would meet the government's criteria and also, crucially, would provide annual savings and would be financially viable, affordable and sustainable in the long term. As a result, and given the feedback we have received so far, we are now able to commit to what has hitherto been our preference, namely 3 balanced councils with populations just in excess of 250,000. And we should now focus solely on this in our case for change. We are confident that 3 councils will deliver local accountability and decision making, will be big enough to offer economies of scale and will meet the needs of Suffolk's diverse communities. will have the capacity, capability and resilience to deliver service improvements, better outcomes for residents. We'll be best able to deliver genuine transformation of public services based around local needs, and will offer real value for money and be cheaper than the 6 councils we have in Suffolk now. There are many examples of well-run smaller unitary councils around the country and doing a much better job than their predecessors, so disaggregation does work. Unlike Suffolk County Council, which has from day one said that 1 unitary is what they will be proposing, we have sought public opinion and taken the time to listen to feedback before finally deciding to proceed with 3. And it is clear from comments that the public really doesn't like the idea of a single council for the whole county, not just in responses to our survey and the overwhelming response on social media, but also it's what we've been told in the meetings we have held with towns and parishes across the district. In our survey, we're asking residents what they think. Their views are unequivocal. The top choice across the whole county is a council that provides local accountability and decision-making. It is also in the top 3 for almost all respondents. Businesses also want councils that are more in touch and less remote than the county council. And we also must be mindful of the new mayoral combined authority. We must have a balance of representation with neither county being the junior partner. We're asking you now to support the preferred option of 3 unitary councils. All the councils are debating and voting on similar motions this month. West and East Suffolk and Ipswich have already done so. Mid Suffolk will be meeting on Thursday. It is important to state at this point that all the districts in the borough are united behind submitting a single proposal for Suffolk. This is a once-in-50-year opportunity to transform and take a different approach to the delivery of local services. We must be bold and innovative to build something new for the future, not just tinker with what we have now. Thank you, Chair.
Attention to the fact that this motion is for consideration. Now, we move to a vote?
No, it's debated.
Oh, we move straight to debate. So who would like to, well, I need a seconder first, and then Councillor Saw seconding, and who would like to open the debate? You reserve the right to speak. Do you wish to speak now?
I've decided to remove my reservation and speak. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I think Councillor Ward is absolutely right. I think many councillors here have interacted with their parishes, with town councils, with voluntary organisations, and I can truthfully say that without exception, I have never had anybody ask support either one or, for that matter, 2 councils. What they do support is, as Councillor Ward said, the most local representation they can have. A drastic reduction in councillor numbers isn't a virtue of reorganisation, it's a hollowing out of local democracy. Considerable strain will be placed on the remaining councillors there could be only 100 councillors for the whole of Suffolk. The key to good local government is not bigger structures. There is no evidence that bigger councils give you better services. It's not just me saying this. The House of Commons Library prepared a briefing material for MPs, examined councils across Europe, all of whom have bigger councils than we do. The key to good local government is in the word local. The closer councils are to residents, the more responsive they are to what residents want. And I draw councillors' attention to the NHS 10-year plan recently launched by the government, which stressed the need for the health sector to work hand in glove with local government, particularly as it came to housing, job opportunities, and social care. Nobody understands neighbourhoods better than
us. And so therefore, I would recommend this and support this motion, because I believe that 3 unitaries is the best way to get better, more responsive and sustainable services for our residents. And I think also we are looking at imaginative reworking of services, not just putting a wrap around what already exists and which in many cases has failed to deliver. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to add anything? Councillor Davis?
Thank you, Chair. I fully endorse what the Leader and Deputy Leader have said. The 3 unitary option is, as far as I can see, and from everybody that I've spoken with, the better option by a long way. And I think when we're talking about local democracy, we've had a cracking example of why 1 unitary wouldn't work, with the disgraceful behaviour of the people opposite, who have walked out because they're not prepared to have a proper democratic debate about something that is fundamentally important to not just Babergh, but for now the whole of Suffolk and part of Norfolk. So I totally endorse, and I will be supporting the motion for obvious reasons.
Anyone else wish to say anything, or can we move to the vote? Okay. Wish to debate further? Councillor McCraw?
I agree with all the previous speakers, and the answer should be yes.
Thank you. Councillor Owen?
Being the opposition, I agree with 3 councils. I put my name to it.
Thank you. Helen? Oh, Councillor Davis, sorry.
Yes, thank you. I've had a number of discussions with the people in my ward and the parish councils in my ward over the past few months. And I've had to explain the difference between devolution and local government reorganisation. But the consistent thing that has come out is they want that local representation. They trust us to represent their interests back to the council and work on their problems and solve them. Without wishing to cast aspersions, I haven't always seen our county councillor in person, and I think people will feel that the county councillors are a little bit more remote. They don't have that local touch that we have. So I think that's really important to keep, and I'm not surprised that the survey came out with that. The other thing that I also got questioned on was, will my council tax go up? That one I couldn't answer, but I'm hoping that's a no.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else wish to say anything in support or against? Do you feel you've been given ample opportunity to speak? So we can move on. Thank you very much, councillors. Oh yeah, Councillor Ward, do you want to sum up?
Yes, please. Yeah. So I do have something prepared for summing up. But, probably a bit superfluous, but nonetheless, there's some points I do want to... yes, thank you, I will. Following commitments by all districts in the borough, we will proceed with developing the case for change. We will be setting up a website, which will go live early next month, where we will publish information on our emerging proposal for public viewing. There's still a lot of work to do on the finances, how the new councils will deliver services, and the boundaries. We're not asking you to agree to a final decision today, and that will not happen until September. And at that stage, there will, of course, be a full debate and decision to submit the case for change to government. But we have to remember the final decision on what we will get will be a ministerial one. Residents won't have a choice, Neither will we, neither will Suffolk County Council. We just have views and proposals, but we are taking residents' views into account. County Council isn't. The County Council's One Suffolk is not a once-in-a-generational transformation. It is business as usual, just a rebranding of the existing County Council with district services added. This is not what local government reorganisation is about. But do we really want Suffolk to continue in a new guise? A council that is failing across the board, adult and children's services, SEND, potholes. Suffolk County Council says one council will be the cheapest. Possibly, probably. But we don't want the cheapest, we want the best. No, we believe that Suffolk deserves better. We believe, and our residents affirm this, that Suffolk is best served by councils that are as local as possible. The County Council really needs to listen to what Suffolk is saying. Their latest costly, over-the-top leaflet drop across the county smacks of desperation from a council that realises its proposal is unpopular. So I now want to take this opportunity to ask Councillor Hicks to drop the unpopular one unitary proposal and instead work with the districts and borough to deliver a bold, innovative, transformative 3 unitary proposal that will give Suffolk what it needs and clearly wants. Councils that are big enough to deliver, but local enough to care. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, we definitely move to the vote now.
Thank you, Chair. Members, that vote is now in progress. Councillor Plum, would you like me to take your vote verbally? Abstain. That is 20 votes for and 1 abstention.
Very much. That motion is in fact carried. And now we can move on to item 8 on the agenda, which is the Capital Investment Fund Company, CIFCO Capital Limited, who are presenting their business trading performance report, and I invite Councillor John Ward to introduce the report, but before doing so, I'd like to welcome Sir Christopher Harth, Henry Cook, and Nigel Golder, and I apologise for the delay in addressing the issues for CIFCO. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Chair. I am pleased to introduce paper BC 2414, the CIFCO Trading and Performance Report for 2024 to 25. This includes the draft business plan for 2025 to 28, which, subject to council approval, will form the basis for CIFCO's trading for the next 3 years. CIFCO has continued to experience the economic pressures that have impacted commercial property values for some years now, but due to the excellent advice and support from JLL and the hard work of the board, which have ensured CIFCO has a diverse portfolio of quality assets, CIFCO has proven to be resilient, and it continues to outperform industry benchmarks and most of its own KPIs. Although voids have increased, and we do anticipate that this will continue over the period of the business plan. A review of operations, governance and risk has shown that CIFCO is well managed with a professional team, including board members, the executive team and external consultants. Section 4.2 of the report provides a summary of the portfolio's performance for the year just ended and the previous 4 years. You will see that despite the market, most of the numbers are encouraging. Income remained more or less stable in 2024 to 25, with contracted rent of 5.72 million being slightly down by 0.6% on the previous year. The portfolio value has stabilised, only falling by 0.4% during the year, but the lack of an increase is due to a stagnant economic climate. CPI has crept up, but on the plus side, interest rates are falling. Confidence is still weak. Over half of the properties have seen a growth in value or remain stable. The remaining properties have seen a reduction, mostly those with impending lease expiries. Section 5 of the report contains the 2024 to 25 KPIs and the actual performance achieved against these, and also the new KPIs for 2025 to 28. Section 8 of the report shows the total income received by the council since CIFCO started trading, and also shows the current borrowing position for the councils. I won't repeat what is shown here, but I must draw your attention to the net income for 2024 to 25, which is significantly down due to increased short-term interest costs. The business plan is provided in Appendix A. As usual, it forms the basis for trading against which the performance is monitored on a quarterly basis through the report from JLL. The board decided that a 3-year plan would provide for better longer-term planning in the lead up to the new unitary councils, and the Overview and Scrutiny Committee welcomed this approach when they considered the plan at their meeting last month. The key strategic objectives of the plan are to continue to maintain the long-term financial stability of the portfolio, reduce and mitigate the growing void rate, improve EPC ratings, manage portfolio risk, and to have a long-term capital investment strategy to enhance the portfolio's value and income and secure new tenants through improved energy efficiency and refurbishment of the buildings. Financial strategy outlined in the business plan includes the sale of selected assets in the short term for working capital, recycling capital for refurbishments to maintain and enhance revenue, and in the medium term for some debt repayment. CIFCO will seek to grow the sinking fund using excess income and capital from sales. There will be a reduction in the number of large single-let offices, and this will reduce the weighting in the office sector and increase the industrial weighting. The CIFCO board will also be reviewing CIFCO's structure and debt to mitigate the increased corporation tax burden and also to prepare for shareholder changes in 2028 as a result of local government reorganisation. The CIFCO board is also proposing to defer interest payments over the next 3 years while the portfolio transitions, and the details are provided on pages 90 and 91. I'd like to thank, at this point, Mark Sargentson, who has now decided to resign from CIFCO's board, for his support and experience, which have been invaluable to the board since CIFCO's inception. And also like to thank Emily and the non-executive directors on the CIFCO board for their time and effort, and to thank JLL for the excellent advice and comprehensive information they provide in board meetings. Chris Hayworth, Henry Cook from the CIFCO board, and Nigel Golder from JLL, who along with Emily are with us this evening to answer any of your questions that I can't answer. And so I'd like to propose the recommendations in section 3 that Council notes CIFCO's capital's trading activity and performance for the year to 31st of March 2025, and that Council approves the 2025 to 2028 business plan for adoption by CIFCO Capital Limited. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ward. I do need a seconder. Councillor Wyman, thank you very much. Before we proceed, I'd like to draw members' attention to the confidential appendix. Now, should members wish to refer to this in either questions or debate, we will need to move to a closed session. So I will now ask the head of the Democratic Services. No? I've turned too many pages. Okay, so we'll now invite questions, but bear in mind the confidentiality of the appendix. Councillor Dowling.
Thank you, Chair. This is in the open section of the report. On pages 30, 31 and 32, I think I can see 3 different figures for the revenue received by Babergh District Council from CIFCO in the last financial year. Can I please have a single figure for how much Babergh has made from CIFCO this year, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So I'll need to have a look at the pages you refer to, but if you look at the table at 8.1, that's probably the most straightforward table to follow, and that will show you the net income, which is 74,000. So that's the difference between the cost of the council's debt and the income that it receives from CIFCO. In addition to that, there are other layers, but hopefully that's probably the best table to focus on when looking at what the income is for this year.
Thank you. That's one of the tables I've looked at, but forgive me, I don't understand why there are two different figures and why on page 32 the table has a different figure again.
So can I suggest we perhaps take that outside of the meeting? I'm more than happy to go through that with you, Councillor, so that we can look at all of the individual figures, and would have been happy to address that query ahead of this meeting. But I would suggest that you use the table at 8.1. There is also information in here in relation to Mid-Suffolk as well, because this is a shared report. So more than happy to take you through that outside of this meeting, if that would be helpful.
Any other questions? Councillor Saw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to ask a question about voids. Recognising that the economy continues to show signs of weakness, that our portfolio is mostly focused on the southeast, could I ask what we intend to do to lessen our voids in the coming year? And I note that we are now moving away from buildings with one tenant to multi-tenant. How we intend to market these properties to get multi-tenants in them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah. I mean, yes, this is sort of about the constant... Sorry? Oh, stand up, sorry. Right. This is about the, sort of the constant work on the portfolio, really, just to keep things going. As the market changes, we look to see where we should be investing. Obviously, we use local agents who are experts in the particular areas where the various properties are to make sure that we can let things as soon as we possibly can. Things have been challenged particularly in the office sector because of the way offices have changed after the pandemic. It's now starting to look quite a lot stronger, the occupier side, I think, as far as offices are concerned. So, but we've identified where there are risks going forward, and obviously we are working on those to mitigate those risks. Nigel, I don't know if there's anything you want to add, really, as far as that is concerned.
Chris, yes, thank you. I will actually, because one of the important strategies that we have is early engagement with our existing occupiers, and we are heavily engaged with them despite the fact that leases don't expire in 26 until 26-27. So we work with them. Now those occupiers in themselves have business challenges, and we have seen certain companies set strategies already post-COVID for reducing space have already reversed that position because the world is changing again. So the clear strategy for us is to work entirely with the existing occupiers and then have supplement to that. We take external professional advice on local agents and the letting market. Thank you.
Any other questions? Members, who would like to open up the debate? Councillor Wyman.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for the false start earlier on, I apologise for that. And I was looking forward to doing the intro, which Councillor Ward has now done. I'd just like to say, I've been a director of CIFCO now for 12 months, and all the work that we've undertaken with our colleagues from JAL has been exemplary. We do a great job, they do a great job, the people that work on the ground, workmen that have the face-to-face relationships with all our tenants, do a great job. And I can't overemphasise how important those relationships are in terms of our relationships with the tenants and making sure we get intelligent information way before we get to voids and other issues that they deal with remarkably well. So absolutely endorse what they're doing for us, and as Councillor Ward said, the report's been to ONS. ONS were absolutely satisfied with the outcome of the report. So I would broadly welcome and thank them.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to debate? Councillor McCraw.
Thank you, Chair. I've been supportive of CIFCO despite initial reservations from the start, and we've scrutinised it and we've gone through it. This is the most difficult business plan I think we've ever had presented to us for CIFCO, and I'm pleased it's a 3-year plan because I think it just has to be. The circumstances we're in would not allow anything of a shorter term. So although there are some disappointing things in here, there's also some quite good KPIs. And the main point about CIFCO is it maintains a stability, and we must ensure it continues to do that. The biggest mistake that has always been made is people not understanding about the importance of providing the income and not obsessing about capital value. Now, at the moment, I have to say, it does look in the short term as though that income might be somewhat reduced. Is that a fair way of putting it? I think that is. I regret that, but we're not losing. And we are maintaining a portfolio for the future. And we're looking forward to improving that. So, with regret that this report isn't more positive, there's a lot of positives in there. And I will say that the governance of CIFCO from the start has been of the highest order. Okay? It's not insignificant that this is one of our largest strategic risks. It has the number 1 attached to it, which is Strategic Risk Register 001, because that's my bag, is looking after strategic risk. This is going to be looked at over and over again, and I'm quite happy that the CIFCO board and our supporting councillors are on the case. I'm also aware that every year that this is looked at by scrutiny, and they've always done a good job on this. So it should be continued to be monitored, and we'll be doing this debate. I don't know if we'll be doing this debate in next year or 3 years' time. I think it's probably going to be coming to scrutiny every year. I think that's sensible under the circumstances, but I'm happy to support the motion.
Councillor McCraw. Is there anybody else who wishes to debate, or do I go back to Councillor Ward for his summing up, and then we move to the vote? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Chair. I don't really have an awful lot to say, apart from the fact that I think contributors to the debate. CIFCO continues, albeit at a reduced level, to provide us with income. It has been good over the years. I must admit, we've had to put up with probably the most prolonged, difficult commercial period that we could possibly have had, completely unforeseen at the time that CIFCO was set up, but nonetheless, the income that we've received over the past, gosh, how many years now, 8, 9 years, has been absolutely essential for this council. Without it, we'd be in a much more difficult position. So that's really all I have to say on the matter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, can we move to the electronic vote?
Thank you, Chair. Members, the vote is now in progress. That is 19 votes for and 1 abstention. That motion is carried.
Thank you, councillors. Now, before we proceed, because nobody has referred to the confidential aspect of the appendix, we can now move to item 12 on the agenda. And I'd like to thank the directors of CIFCO who've patiently sat through this. Thank you very much, sirs. Councillor appointments. There is a list attached to the agenda, and I ask for any further changes to placings. Do I have a proposer and a seconder? Proposing Councillor Saw, seconding Councillor McCraw.
Thank you, Chair. That vote is now in progress, councillors. Many thanks. That's 20 votes for. That motion is carried.
When's the next meeting? 22nd, 23rd of August.
No, there's no.
Yeah. Right, so it's 23rd September. Okay, councillors, it's 1903, and just to remind you that the next Babergh District Council meeting will be held on the 23rd of September. The meeting is now closed.